Okay. Today we're going to talk about growth. So,
Economic growth.
economic growth. George Monbiot says that soon it kind of won't be traditional left and right anymore. It'll be, the argument is between people who think you can keep on growing and the people who say you've got to stop with this endless economic growth and you've got to pull back.
Okay.
And
So it's interesting because there is this conception that even slow growth or maintaining the status quo as far as like prosperity, growth, wealth is bad. It's got to be like above a certain level.
yes.
1-2%.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the country's in recession, you know, which is the kind of like minus growth for 2 consecutive quarters.
Right.
So, all right, I'm going to talk about my village,
Okay.
where I grew up. Okay, so I grew up...
Wales.
Yes, I grew up in a little village called Llangoed, in the 70s. Right? In this village, I guess about 1,000 people or so, and in this village, I would say most of the kids just had one parent working. There was maybe about a third of the people had cars.
Okay.
You know, when I was a kid, I got presents for like Christmas and birthday.
You poor kid.
I know.
When else do you get presents?
Kids get things all the time now.
Or they get giant Easter baskets full of iPods and things like that.
The Cadbury's iPod.
Where's my Halloween Wii? It doesn't sound that radically different. I only got presents twice a year.
They get stuff all the time.
I don't know.
I'm not going to... Anyway, this is not going to end
Yeah.
up as a kid-bashing episode.
Growth. Talk about growth.
So, and I'm not going to go into the politics of the fact that, you know, then it was often the father who was working and the mother who wasn't. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about that model. All I want to say is, and lay this on the table, is, right, since then, the UK economy has probably something like doubled.
Yeah.
Right? There's been unprecedented growth. And my question to you is, where's all the money gone? And what
Right.
has grown in growth?
Well, there's a lot of Starbucks.
Yes.
That's the main thing. It's as far as like just from a sort of like really layman's, you know, what you see on the street.
Yeah.
Sure, you see more cars. You see a lot more advertising. Advertising has become like it's just taken over. It's everywhere, and chain stores, like each high street used to be kind of individual, right?
Yeah.
Now they're all the same. So you see the wealth manifest in, I think,
Consumer knick-knackery.
yeah, consumable goods.
Yeah. Right, now you've got a situation where practically every family, both parents have to work.
Yeah.
I never see the kids. Everyone's in kind of separate rooms. You know, I'm on Facebook, you're on YouTube, someone's downstairs listening to, you know,
Yeah.
the Today Show, someone else is, you know, kind of at the gym staring at MTV on the screen. It's like, what's grown in the growth?
I don't know. I think the middle class, the divide between the rich and poor and the middle class have probably grown.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't mean that the poor, you know, there's always this thing that the poor are getting poorer
Yeah.
and the rich are getting richer. What that really means is the divide is getting bigger.
Yeah.
Because there is more disposable income, but there is this standard of living is higher, and not in the sense that everyone has a better life, but what you're expected to have.
Yeah, so, no, okay,
more.
so what I would argue is
More possessions.
the standard, the quality of life has dramatically dropped as
Okay.
the standard of consumable life has raised. So that's what's grown in growth.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses has been never been more difficult, probably. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like what you're expected to have
Yeah.
and what your kids are clamoring after.
Yeah, it's the kids. It's
Yeah.
the goddamn kids.
They control. Well, they are. The kids control the parents through television advertising.
When did kids get so powerful?
When they started putting commercials on kids' television.
Do you think if you were a parent, you might blindfold your children?
I'm not a parent, and I can't even. I can see how they just give up. How
Yeah.
they just sort of like because it's too powerful.
It's like having little voracious raptors.
Yeah, and if you do like what you're saying, no TV, and no, you can't have a Nintendo. It's kind of like
you turn your kid
become
into
the asshole.
Yeah.
Your
Also,
kid,
you turn your child into a pariah.
they'll
status.
appreciate you later. You know?
Yeah, no,
Maybe.
they won't. My mother used to send me to school. We go on school trips. Every other kid would have a Tupperware, right, with like 4 ham and piccalilli sandwiches, a nice penguin, and
What?
and
I don't even know what any of those things are.
Penguin biscuit.
Okay.
And all right, what would be like a really desirable packed lunch in America in your youth?
In my youth, a Hostess snack, which is like a
Okay.
Twinkie or
I
a
don't like
ho-ho, or it's like these sort of like cakes that are...
Oh no, there's also a word for gay people. That's twinks, isn't it?
I think that's a young desirable...
Okay. But you wouldn't
But I
have one of
don't
those
know.
in your Tupperware.
No, you wouldn't. But a Twinkie is a sponge cake with some sort of simulation of whipped cream inside, and they will never go rotten. They're the things that will. This is the urban legend, but I think there's so many preservatives in it that it will survive like a nuclear holocaust.
So like cockroaches and Twinkies will...
Food from the 50s where they like a Cold War snack. It was delicious. I wanted, and the pink snowballs also.
Oh, we had those.
Okay. That's the same thing. It's like spongy, marshmallowy.
Yes.
I don't know what the pink is.
Like they've scraped it out of a crater.
Glowing. Came out of like a meteorite came down.
Okay, so you'd have one of those. Savoury? What would a good savoury? Sneevery?
I like Doritos, and I like these things called cheese-filled combos.
Okay,
Do you have those?
You're not giving me... You're giving me snacks here, but you're not giving me anything substantial.
Okay.
We would have a sausage roll. Yes.
Well, if it's a packed lunch, that was a step lower from buying the school lunch.
Yeah.
The school lunches were horrific, but the cool kids bought them. And if it was pizza day, at least it was edible. Yeah. Barely.
And what drink would you have had with that? What would you have had to wash?
If you're really cool,
yes,
you might have had a soda like a Coke. But my favorite thing was these like the Capri Sun.
Oh yeah.
The punch.
Yes.
We had this thing called Sips. Also, it was a box. And that was the first time I saw a box drink. It was like a purple kind of thing inside. It wasn't juice.
Yeah.
It was something. Yeah. And it was like you shake it up and it tasted like you're drinking a melted popsicle or something.
Yes. Disgusting.
You drink it, it was like this burning in the back of your throat. It hurt.
But I would have these great brown wholemeal doorsteps, home baked.
A baked doorstep?
Yes.
What's that?
Doorsteps, that's like a really thick piece of bread.
Okay. Hardened.
No, not necessarily hardened, just very thick.
It'll last for...
Yes, and like smeared with super crunchy peanut butter. And like you would try and eat... Yeah, for a 9-year-old child, this is social death.
Right, okay.
And a piece of fruit.
I think it manifests mostly in clothing. That was the pressure, and that was the pressure that my parents did not understand, and they still don't understand. Yeah. So I wanted Levi's.
Yeah. What did they get you?
Sears Roebuck company, Toughskins. Right. Eventually, I got a pair of Levi's. Yeah. Right. But the Toughskins, they were made of some sort of like tear-proof material.
The thing is, they last forever.
Yeah, they last. It was like, I guess it was some kind of polyester jeans. Because I wanted rips. I wanted to be like the Ramones or something and have rips in my knees, and you couldn't do it. I would dive into the dirt, and it was just like nothing would happen.
Did you ever take a knife to them? So the question is, if we're talking about what grows in growth, and we're deciding economic growth grows in growth, so I mean, there's this idea that instead of GDP, you could look at gross domestic happiness instead. There's this like Bhutan thing, isn't it?
It's the only company that doesn't measure
country.
Sorry.
Jesus, you see?
I'm
This is great. I'm sponsored by Sears.
I've confused it all now. Yeah, so Bhutan. Yeah. They measure by gross domestic happiness, which I don't know how they measure that, but I think it's more of
a feeling
of them saying, look, we're not going to go by growth. We're not going to go down that materialistic commodification path that everyone else does. And we're going to keep our traditional values of, whatever, cooperation and peaceful living and all this kind of stuff.
So basically, but is this bullshit? Because, is this just a way with the fairies liberal nonsense? Is it possible to start working towards something? Like, like the Green Party there, and they would absolutely be behind something like this.
Right.
they're the only party who say, you can't do this anymore. The other three just completely lie. They're like, no, we can carry on, everything's cool.
You can't have something based on finite resources that never peaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it's going to keep growing, you have to have unlimited resources,
Yeah.
which we clearly don't have,
Yeah.
which we're clearly meeting
Yeah.
the ends of. And I don't see why things can't just sort of like, okay, even what we have now in the West is unmaintainable.
Well, we're still living two worlds, 2 to 3 planets each.
Yeah.
So I think that what we've got to do is completely rebrand a carbon light way of living. You've got to, the thing is to make things like community and working together and, low energy and living light and all that kind of stuff. Make it sexy. I think you've got to look to things like Weight Watchers to do this kind of thing, because they've formed a brand and an identity and a community around the idea of giving something up.
Right, the cult of, it's fun to sort of like, oh, let's go on a diet together.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think Weight Watchers
That's it.
should be the new model.
Interesting. Frozen dinners.
Yeah.
Low carbon frozen dinners.
What's for dinner tonight, honey?
Nothing.
You need to stay out of the marketing department. You need to go in the back room, sir.